and welcome to Around the Hoop, the Westwood Basketball Show, the Super Bowl edition. I'm your host, Mike Gay, and this is Season 4, Episode 9. Hard to believe. And in studio, we have a special guest, not only Coach Clifford, but we also have David Hiltz, the JV girls coach. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks. So, Episode 9. Wow,
Episode 9.
Time is a-flying.
By.
It is. You had a good week, a bit mixed. Why don't you walk us through it?
Yeah, sure. So we were here last Friday. We played Medfield on Friday night. Really tough team. I think we started pretty well, played really good team defense. Unfortunately, Medfield's offense got going and ours just really never did. And part of that is a credit to their defense. They play a really good 2-3 zone. It's aggressive with traps, and their rotations are just so good. They anticipate so well, and we just couldn't get a step ahead of them to get some easy looks. So we were kind of fighting it on offense most of the night. So we ended up losing, but again, you get a lot out of those games and playing good teams, and hopefully we're more equipped for playing against strong defensive teams, which we'll kick into tonight, but we'll get to that in a second. Tuesday night we went to Hopkinton, always a tough place to play. Really good, scrappy team, defensive pressure. They did some things defensively we haven't seen before, which we'll take a look at in a few minutes in some of the clips we have. But we were able to beat them there, which was great. We qualified for the state tournament, which was really the only goal we had this season to kind of get us started, and that we'll reset some new ones. Got some good contributions. Katie Kissel was awesome. She scored a career high 15 points, scored 6 in a row in the fourth quarter to sort of open things up and put the game away. Sarah Roycroft was great, 12 points, 8 rebounds, and just did a ton for us. So, but a lot of good contributions up and down the roster where you start to see the younger kids starting to feel more comfortable. Our 2 freshmen both made some really good plays, and so it's encouraging, but just a good team win.
That's great. Must have been, by the way, Katie Kissel was in studio last week, and so she followed that up with some really good performances. So it's good to see that we're having such an impact on the team. So David, you're here to talk about the JV team. You've had a great season so far. Why don't you walk us through the JV experience?
Yeah, so we have 12 this year, which is great. We have 7 freshmen, 6 returners, which has been good, and it's nice to have a little bit of leadership from the previous year, just with expectations of how you are as a coach, how the season goes, sort of the ebbs and flows of that. We're incredibly athletic. This is one of the most athletic teams I've had. I think I've been with you as a JV coach for 6 years, and the athleticism is off the charts, and we're building in a lot of sort of that basketball IQ stuff and getting them to learn. We are undefeated, which is always exciting. We played a really close game against Medfield on Friday as well. We ended up winning. It ended up being like 10 or 12, and that's always great. Playing there, they're well coached. They have athletes as well, and it's nice to have that. And then at Hopkinton, sort of same thing. And these were 2 teams that we beat pretty handily the first time around, but sort of the message going into sort of the second time around in the league is like, hey, right, you've all been playing basketball for about a month, 6 weeks. Like, these teams are going to be better, so be ready for it. And Hopkinton was actually great. It was like a 4-point game at halftime. We came out, I think pushed the lead to about 15, but they ended up cutting it to 9. So it was close, meaningful, competitive, and as always, that place is a really, really hard place to play. I don't know if it's just like because the baskets are here and like the walls are there, and always exciting. But it was good, and we have Millis tonight, always a fun challenge. They throw literally everything at you, all sorts of zones, all sorts of presses, so it should be another fun, competitive game. That's great.
Talk a little bit, David, about trying to do not only win games and not only teach the girls that basketball IQ and improve on their athleticism and all of the intangibles. Talk about how you help to prep the girls for the next step, varsity.
Yeah, I think one of the big things is sort of you go through that first half of the season, and it's that getting to know you, sort of them getting to know your expectations and you them, and the more you play, you really begin to see sort of, and we're constantly in conversation of, hey, what do you think of this player, or let's like think out if 8 months from now, next winter when we're here, these are the people that will be gone that graduated. What are you looking at? I think that first step is just like sort of competitiveness, but then also sort of speed of the game. I think that there are players who are good on JV, and just that conversation is, the biggest notice you'll have if you're to make that jump is the speed. So talking always, whether it's in practice and games, like you need to do this faster, you need to do this at a high level because of that. I think sort of the biggest thing though is And I always, the terminology I use is, like this is honors basketball versus like AP basketball, right? Where just like in school, you have different levels to get to that next level. There's a certain amount that then becomes on you that you have to know that you're expected to, in certain situations, identify. And again, I think that it's nice because you're not just on an island. Part of your job is to funnel, and our conversations go on throughout the year. But obviously during the season, it's a lot more of, hey, what did you think of that one? Or how do you think so and so played? And so that's a continuing conversation, I think. So
yeah, and not only do you coach the JV team, you also assist in the varsity level, and are you taking things that you're seeing, granted in a little bit of a different level, and trying to apply it on potentially what a school does, because a lot of times their JV teams will be reflective of what the varsity is doing.
I will say, like, Millis is a fun program to play because they do it at all levels. So our freshman team played them, and we were at practice, and our freshman coach Ronnie McNeil was like, watch out for the 1-3-1. So we were preparing against that, and then we helped them get ready for it. Medfield was another example of they run that zone and that trap, and they throw a 1-2-2 at you, and it's really getting ready for that. And I think in the past couple of years I've done a better job of sort of getting on the same page as Catherine of, hey, let's have some commonalities of what we run. I think the program philosophy is there of playing really good defense and playing tough, and sort of those things you can control, and working out from there. But each year we align a little closer, which is always important. So
That's great. So, Coach Clifford, why don't you walk us through the Chalk Talk,
Sure.
couple of plays, and I believe these are the Hopkinton game.
Yes, all from Hopkinton, which is again a good team win Tuesday night. So this first one's going to end with a Julia Dolly 3, who will be in studio in a few minutes in the player spotlight this week. So on this play here, Katie Kissel has the ball. You can barely see her. She's being pressured pretty well, but she's able to slip by that defender. As she drives to the baseline, where we tell people to look often is to the baseline. So Sarah Roycroft did a good job of kind of spacing out that way. The Hopkinton defender's ready for that. Hopkinton's a really smart defensive team. So Katie reads that pass may get deflected. Julia does a great job. We use the phrase find a window a lot, and she has a perfect window that Katie can see her. Katie throws a great pass out to the baseline. Put that in real time, and then Julia knocks it down. So that's the first one, just good recognition, good spacing, and things that we talk about a lot. Hopkinton defensively did something called blitzing ball screens and handoffs, where they were doubling and putting pressure on you, and they do a good job of filling that second rotation as well. So these are a couple examples of ways in the first half we were able to get a couple easy baskets off of just playing smart and composed and not being too rushed by that. So Haley Jacobson's going to start to dribble to the left over here. Sarah looks like she's going for a handoff, and what you'll see is her defender jumps to the ball, and they're going to double Haley. Sarah makes that read and goes back door. She's not going to get the initial pass, but because her defender jumps so far out to go double Haley, now she's wide open. Their help's a little bit slower. Olivia Williams, our freshman, we talk all the time, the first thing you need to do is look at the rim. And I think if she had been looking to make the next pass and get out of her hand, she may have missed Sarah. Sarah makes a great backdoor cut, great bounce pass, and Sarah finishes it with the left. And we'll see that again here. There's another one. Again, similar idea. So Sarah will start with it. She skips it over to Ariana Katzman, another freshman, who will catch. And again, on this ball screen, you'll see 33 right here go to jump out, ready to take Ariana and double her. Katie Kissel's cutting across the lane. This is just good vision from everybody. She finds her. Sarah slips back door. Again, both of their attentions were on Ariana, and then we have Sarah again. Katie makes a nice pass to her, and Sarah finishes again. So just good recognition. I think earlier in the season we were just playing a little hectic and weren't ready for those situations, but we did a pretty good job with a really, really good amount of defensive pressure that Hopkinton put on us. So
that's great.
That was good.
Awesome. So again, the jersey tells us that it is Super Bowl, the Super Bowl edition.
Indeed.
So very important. You, I believe, have won the last 2 years.
Really?
Your picks have been fairly close,
Pressure's
not exact. I have not been close. I think I said the Patriots were going to win by 100 last year.
Didn't pan out.
They did win, though, so that was good.
Sure.
So why don't you start us off? Give me the team win and the score.
Yeah, I'm going to go 49ers. I will take 24-20.
Low scoring.
24-20.
Wow.
Defense wins championships.
Very nice. David?
I'll go San Francisco also, 45-42.
Wow. So
Yeah.
defense
Opposite ends of the spectrum.
doesn't win
Yep.
championships except for the last drive.
Exactly.
They
Exactly.
intercept Mahomes in the end zone.
Yep.
Okay,
Exactly.
there you go.
Exactly.
So I will give you mine now, and then Steve will be
Sure.
left, and then the player spotlight, the two players left to give theirs. Actually, you know what? I'm going to hold off. Why don't I
Do
hold
it at the
off,
end.
and I'll do it at the end.
Sure.
I want everybody at home to be suspenseful on the edge of their seats.
Do it in the close.
But it's going to be a good one. So,
Perfect.
and then thank you for coming in.
Yeah, of
good luck
course.
tonight, and
Thank
then you've got a really big stretch ahead.
Yeah,
So you've already punched your ticket to the tournament.
We have.
Now it's about seeding.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
And then continue to dominate.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
9, 10 points, and those are your close games. So keep it up. Joining us next in studio is Coach Steve St. Martin. Coach,
Good to see you, Mike.
another great week for the boys.
Yes, they executed really well. Had 2 great wins. So.
Why don't you walk us through the wins?
Sure. So Friday, last time we were in studio, we were about to play Medfield, who beat us the first time in their gym, and we came out really hot and did really well the whole entire first quarter to establish somewhat of a lead, and then expanded upon that as the game went on. So it was a testament to the kids and their execution. And then Tuesday we played against Hopkinton. Now Hopkinton, a couple of their players were hurt. So that changes, again, we talked about that when we played Norwood. It changes the dynamics of your rotation. And I thought that we did a great job of executing that game as well and getting a little bit to a lead, and then the second half really expanding it. And in both games, we were able to put the game away and a little bit out of reach. Again, that's the players executing the things that needed to do. But the 2 quality opponents, and so right now we're tied with Hopkinton for first place in the league.
So the Medfield game, again, you got out to a really quick start.
Right.
James McGowan, scored, at will in the first half with some balanced scoring across the board.
Right.
And then that kind of, again, you changed what you had to do in the second half.
Correct.
And a lot of unselfish play down the stretch of that Medfield game.
Which makes it great, and also in the Hopkinton game it was the same, as folks are looking for each other, and the things that we're working on in practice that we're starting to execute a little bit better, because the name of the game is evolution. You can't be the same team you were a week ago, and every team's trying to get better and work on things that they need to improve upon, because now that we've qualified for the tournament, when you get into the tournament, you're facing teams that are doing the same thing you're doing. So they're going to bring something new or enhance what they're doing, and it's just a matter of for us to do the same thing.
Yeah, the Hopkinton game, again, fairly balanced scoring, but Patrick Riley led the
Right, with
scoring.
19, right.
Yeah.
Pat had a great game, and the thing that Pat does is he does a lot of things that aren't really on a stat sheet. Defensively, he's guarding one of the top guards, if not the top guard, especially when we start our starting 5. And then he rebounds well out of the guard position, can handle the ball as well too. So before, when I talked about Jack and James being able to run the point, and you can actually throw Pat in that mix too, where he could bring the ball up and run different sets for different guys. So
yeah.
he's a not just a one-dimensional player. He has many facets to his games that help us.
Yeah, and then also I believe we're going to meet a new player of the week, Mark James,
Yes.
MJ. Again, you mentioned doing a lot of the little things.
Correct.
Things that don't necessarily show up in the stats sheet always.
Right.
But a real motivating kind of player for the team.
He is, and the great thing about MJ is, number one, he's very team orientated in the sense that, he's playing a position that Jack's there and at the start, but we put MJ in for a 1, 2, 3. We played him at the 4 at different times. He's very versatile, and he's a great leader. He's talking to players, talking to teammates, encouraging them, discussing things with them. He asks a lot of questions in practice. He's trying to figure out different ways to do things better. So he's been great for us, not just with his athleticism in the play on the court, but all the leadership components that come off the court in the locker room, etc.
That's great. Well, why don't you walk us through some
Sure.
of the plays that you've highlighted?
Sure. So let's see. This first play we're going to watch again. So now Jack and MJ are playing at the same time. And we're going to call a set here, and Jack's going to bring the ball up. And what you're going to see is MJ makes a read on the offensive end to make a pass to get Connor in a pick and roll situation and get Connor the ball. So we were trying to slow this down to get a really solid possession here as the clock is winding down. And so if you notice, the way that their big man is coming off that screen and how he's playing low. So MJ sees where his man is playing, and that Connor can slip this. And if MJ takes that one dribble and draws the big, can hit Connor for a layup, as their weak side help isn't where it needs to be right now. So it's a great read on his part to get him the ball, and it's also great execution the way he makes the pass. So I'll jump back again 5 seconds so you can just see it in real time. So he makes this read here, coming off the screen, and slips it right to Connor to get a little easy bucket. So again, it's stuff like that that allows us to get right into our press. So that's just a great read that he makes. And then if you look at the second clip, he makes a similar, this is a similar play where we're trying to get there's a little patience on offense that MJ, again, as we run through our offensive set, he's in the same scenario, but the defense and the same people make a different read, and this time he attacks it and goes in for a layup. Actually kicks it to Jack for a wide open shot. So just we run our set again, and it's just patience, being patient with the ball, okay, looking for any mismatch. So you see how their big played at that time to not let Connor roll, okay, so the ball gets swung, MJ goes back door, and this is all just reading what the defense is doing. Now MJ gets the ball here, in the same scenario, now the big is playing, he's gonna take a step towards the left to not allow Connor to roll. But in doing so, MJ makes the read and attacks the ball screen, gets into the paint, draws help from Jack's man, and Jack's able to get an easy jumper in the corner. So if you see, he makes the read here, boom, draws help, kicks it to Jack, who makes an easy shot. So again, the same type of setup, same type of a pick and roll scenario, all the same players are involved. He just makes 2 great reads on that. And then the last play to show his versatility is coming off of a rebound, just keeping his head up. We're in a scramble situation here off of a press where guys are running at shooters to try to take away a shot. We've done it a couple of times, and Medfield swung the ball really well. So now we're going to do it again, and then MJ ends up getting a rebound, which allows, gets right into our transition, and Jimmy Bean running the floor really hard. You see Jimmy starting to pick up steam, and MJ sees him and leads him to a nice pass for a fast break layup. So it's all these different components that he brings as a player and complements all the guys around him, and that's what allows us to do what we've been doing.
Yeah, and as teams have paid more attention to James, to Patrick Riley, MJ and others will need to step up and do the little things that will not only get easy baskets for their teammates, but then also force these teams to have to pay more attention to them.
Correct. And you're going to need all of those components in order to continue on if you want to go further in the tournament, or if hold on to win the league, whatever the goals are you're setting for yourself. The higher the goal, the more effort, energy, and execution it takes. And so you need everybody to step up and do
there
things.
You go. So let's look ahead. Tonight you travel to Millis.
Go to Millis.
Talk a little bit about that game, and then what you have up next week.
So Millis is record-wise has not been doing as well, but they've been very competitive in every game. And of course, walking into their gym, they have a lot of pride. They're not going to give you a game. You're going to have to fight and take everything that you get. They're really well coached. He does a great job with them. They can change tempo on you where they'll speed it up offensively and then try to slow you down, dropping into different types of zones defensively. So, we've seen them play man, we've seen them play zone, but they're going to be prepared and they're going to be well coached. So we're not going to have a chance to go in there and think it's going to be an easy game. This is going to have to be everybody on all hands on decks and everybody ready to play.
Next week you've got another big week.
Correct. So we got Medway coming in, and Medway right now has the best record in all the TVL. They're in the small. They're ahead by a few games in the small, but they only have 1 loss this entire year. Played very, very well, and has beat Bishop Feion in 2 games this year, non-league games, and Bishop Feion's having a great season. So. Again, another really well-coached team, a veteran team full of a lot of seniors coming back from a very successful campaign last year where they won the small. So it's going to be a tremendous game against them.
Yep. And then you got Bridgewater Raynham.
Well, we go to Norwood on Friday.
Yep.
And then again, Norwood's playing great, well coached. I mean, we've always talked about them, but before we played them the first time, and they're doing really well, and so that's going to be a tough game. And then Sunday we go to Bridgewater Raynham. So it's going to be a challenge for us, and it starts with handling business tonight and taking care of the things we need to do.
Taking care of business. Well, speaking of business, I know one of your favorite parts of every season is Super Bowl prediction. You love it. You've been calling me all week. You're just so excited.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. Yeah,
I know.
My favorite thing is making predictions.
Absolutely. So why don't the fans at home? They really want to know who do you have and what's the final score?
Boy, I tell you, I think it's going to be. First of all, I think it's going to be a really great game. A lot of folks may think it's going to be a blowout one way or the other, but I to be honest with you, I think San Fran's going to pull it out, and I think it's going to be a really tight, close game, and I think it's going to be more of a defensive battle, and people are going to take that to be. But
so give me a score.
20-17.
20-17. Yeah, Coach Clifford, you're right around
the
same.
What she went?
No, she was a little bit higher. She had 24-21,
okay.
Somewhere in that neighborhood. But that's. There'd be a lot of people in Vegas that would be very, very interested in a score like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, that's good. Well, it's a great time for families to get together and watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Less stress and pressure for us Patriot fans.
That's true.
So it's going to be weird, the Super Bowl without the Patriots.
Well, everybody's worried about where he's going to play next year, so there's always something to worry about, right?
Yeah, well, we're going to try to have Josh McDaniels in studio to tell us a little bit more about it next week. Westwood's own Josh McDaniels. So anyway, Coach, we look forward to meeting MJ in a little bit. We'll also meet Julia Dolly, on the girls' side.
Good.
And then good luck tonight.
Thank you.
On the road down to Millis.
Yep, we're at Millis.
And we'll see you next week.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mike.
Joining us next in the studio are the Player of the Week, Player Spotlight. Welcome. So Julia Dolly, you're a junior, and this is your first time on the show.
Yeah.
So very good to have you here. And Mark James, or better known as MJ, same thing, first time on the show. You're a senior. So let's start with you, Julia. You had a big week, but you've also had a big season with the girls. You've stepped up when recent injuries to Hattie Nobles have caused kind of a shuffle of players on the girls' side. Walk us through the season that you've had so far.
So we started off with a few big games, and obviously it was devastating when we found out that Hattie couldn't play. And then a bunch of people stepped up, and we all had to step into roles that we haven't played much of before in our lives. So it's been a huge team effort that we all just have to contribute and pull our weight so that we can help win games.
And how about your particular journey? How is kind of the ups and downs with injury to Hattie and kind of the shifting of plays? Where did you start the season from a position perspective? What have you been asked to do that's kind of changed your game?
So I started off playing guardish, point guard, but now I'm more of I consider myself more of a shooting guard because we don't have Hattie on the board, so we have to get a bunch of shots up, and sometimes I have to rebound even though I'm not the tallest one on the team. Yeah.
So has it caused you to make your shots more, because without Hattie down there to get the rebounds, you really have to make your shots?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a little bit of a joke there, but and then let's talk about the road ahead. You've got a really big stretch coming up, starting tonight, but then next week you play 2 first-place teams.
Yeah, we have a tough game against Millis tonight, and then we're going to look forward to our season. We have a bunch of tough games coming up just to get our record up and keep our record good for tournament.
Yeah. And before we get over to you, MJ, you also had a very big week off the court. You were down with most of your teammates to see the Team USA versus UConn game, and then you followed that up with the Boston Celtics. So walk us through those 2 experiences.
So yeah, we went to the Team USA versus UConn game, and it was super fun. It was a great team experience, and it's great to see all the UConn players play and then see all the Team USA players play. And then the Celtics game was great. They played the Golden State Warriors. Steph Curry wasn't there, which was sad, but it was still a good game.
And I know it's been a tough week in the basketball world with the devastating loss of Kobe Bryant, his daughter, and then 7 other people in California. I believe both of those games had tributes, and so it must have been a nice nice experience to see that in both ends.
Yeah, the Team USA versus UConn game, they had an 8-second backcourt violation and then a 24-second shot clock violation. And then at the Celtics game, they did a tribute to everyone who lost their lives. And then they did a little video montage for Kobe.
That's great. Well, I'm sure it was special to be there also with all your teammates down at the UConn game. So that's great. So MJ, transitioning over to you, a senior, you've had a huge impact on the team this year as Coach St. Martin went over. The leadership that you've been able to bring, the athleticism, the patience on the court. Why don't you walk us through the journey that you've taken this season?
So this season, I just had a lot of motivation because during the football season it was rough. So I knew I was gonna play a lot of kids on the same team, they was gonna play on basketball. So I just wanted to show them that Westwood is there to fight. So when I came to tryouts, I was really pumped up, and because the senior friends were like you have to try out, and my dad was like, you have to try out. So I was like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. And then when I made it, it was a big relief because tryouts are it's a hard thing. And then through practice and stuff, the team made me I got more comfortable with the team and became more of a brotherhood. So they really accepted me. And then as the leadership started to build, I just realized that they needed more leadership than just the captains, because the captains were doing a good job. But Coach said that seniors had to step up too, it's everybody. So we all had to help each other. So I just realized I had to play my role right.
No, that's great. Yeah, so it's interesting. There's 5 captains, which is a lot, in general, but every one of them has their different role. And then, as you mentioned, Coach St. Martin is always big on the seniors stepping up, and even underclassmen that play important roles. It's never there's never enough captains out on the court that can kind of pick up the rest of the team. And so we saw in some of the plays that you're making the right decision. So athletically, you're gifted and you're able to do some great things. But what changed in your game to not necessarily need to take all of the shots, or to show kind of that explosive moves to the hoop, or try to beat somebody in transition? It seemed like as the season's gone on, you've kind of slowed things down a little bit. You're patient, you get into the offense, and then you're really creating shots for other players. Is that something that transitioned for you, or have you always played that way?
I always played that way. When I see things getting out of control, I try to calm it down, because I feel as though when we rush, we do dumb things, and when we do dumb things, then we started getting mad at each other, as I played with other teams. So then when we do it our team, our team gets kind of down on ourselves, but then so I had to try to slow us down, calm us down, we can do this, we're good. So then and practice, we do a lot of fundamental stuff. Coach really shows us how to break down games and how to see different things. So that really helped me see different things, attacking, when I should attack and when should I dish, and not being able to not attacking a lot with my athleticism helped me, because sometimes I could force things a charge or something, and Coach taught me how to just stop and just shoot and always be ready to for somebody to come up next to me.
That's great. And again, Julie on the girls' side, big stretch coming up for the boys. Again, starting tonight with Millis on the road, and then you've got a really big week next week. So walk us through that.
So we have a away game today against Millis, and then Tuesday's our last home game, and after that we have 4 away games in a row, or a couple. And so those a big stretch, because we're not going to be at home. So we have to create more energy as a team when we're away. And I think that we're going to have a good stretch. We can win it all.
There you go. One game at a time. One trip at a time, as Coach would say. Okay, so as you see, I'm wearing my Brady jersey. By the way, hope Brady stays, as I'm sure you do. Super Bowl is this Sunday, so this is Super Bowl prediction time. So what I need, and this is going to be on record, and we're going to come back, and somebody will win something. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I want the winner and then the score. And we'll start with you.
I'm going 49ers 31-24.
Very nice. Okay, MJ?
I got Chiefs 42-36.
Okay, so if you guys are right on the score, none of my squares will have come in. So I'll be a little upset there, but you are firmly divided down the middle. So There you go. I'm going to wait to save my prediction until the end of the show. But I like both of your picks, and it's going to be a great game. So, again, thank you for joining us on Around the Hoop. We expect to see both of you back here in the coming weeks. So before I close out what you've all been waiting for, my prediction, I have the San Francisco 49ers winning it in not so close a game, 41-21. That will not only be Jimmy G's first Super Bowl, but it will also have me winning my square. So very important to me at home. It's 1-1, and I'll be very happy. All kidding aside, look forward to a great game, and hopefully it's a lot closer than my prediction. Want to thank our sponsors, Norwood Physical Therapy and Vanderbilt Club. Without them, this is not possible, so please thank them if you get a chance to see Mike Kane at Norwood Physical Therapy or Sue Young at Vanderbilt Club for all of their support for Westwood basketball. This is hard to believe, it's season 4, episode 9. Again, really thank all of the coaches that make this possible, both Coach Clifford and St. Martin, and also Coach Hiltz for joining us today in studio. For the players of the week, Julia Dolly and Mark James, MJ, again, thank you, and we hope to see you back as all the players. We will see you next time, hopefully after a bunch of wins for the Westwood boys and girls.